So Melinda never wanted to have children. She knew from a young age that she did not want to have a child and considered this to be a part of her personality and who she was. As she got older, she slowly began to become more open to the idea of having children, but still was definitely not 100% on board. Eventually, she found out that she was pregnant, but she decided that she didn't want to go on with this pregnancy, and so she made an appointment for an abortion. Whenever it came down for her appointment, her and her partner sat on the couch and just sat there for a while, and eventually she said that she couldn't do this and her partner agreed. That was Melinda's story, and she is one of the participants in Facts of Agency and Stories of Transformation from Childless by Choice to Mother by Julia Moore. So after reading Moore's study, I'm going to tell you about some of the terms used within the study method used, and some main points and some takeaways that I took away from the study. So throughout this presentation, you can learn about the findings within the study with me. So beginning with the terms in study, starting with agency. So agency is the capacity for individuals to act independently and make their own choices. It was important to include this in this study because it allowed for a middle ground to exist for these women. They didn't have to have a definite yes or no answer once they became pregnant and were trying to make that choice. It also encompasses desire and intention for these women to allow them to have a little bit more room. So within the study, there were 3 facts of agency. Accidental conception, when women accidentally become pregnant and then they decide to carry that out. Ambiguous desire, where they didn't really care if they became pregnant. If they did, good. If they didn't, that was fine too. And then purposeful decision, where these women were actively trying to become pregnant and have a child. So within these facts of agency, there were 3 categories of fertility intentions, ranging from indefinite yes, cognitive intention, far intention, indifferent intention, ambivalent intention, and indefinitely no. So moving on to the population of the study and the study methods, beginning with the study method. So Moore approached this as a feminist qualitative researcher. She did this intentionally to avoid the stigma of women as mothers. She wanted to see women as individuals, not specifically as mothers. So in order to create her participants, she did have some criteria. So these women had to have been vocal about not wanting to have children at one point in their life. And then these women have also had to have time to experience motherhood. So they had to have a minimum of 1 child of a minimum of 1 year old. With these qualifications, she got 32 participants within the study. So she recruited these women by posting a Facebook post on her personal page, asking people to share it. She posted on a popular Reddit forum for mothers, along with a parenting newsletter that reached out to thousands of women. So moving on to some of the main points and my takeaways from the article, I found the interview process that she used very interesting. So she used a life story interview process. She went to the women and wanted them to compile a cohesive life story for them to share with her. She asked them to divide it into chapters, and then she would ask specific questions about these chapters, such as what was the time frame of this chapter and what would be the title of this chapter, allowing women to have a cohesive story planned out for them. She also had her data analysis I found really interesting. After compiling these interviews, she coded the interviews for the certain categories she was looking for. And then she also had a meeting with scholars within family communication to give her feedback on her data analysis, which ended up in her having to do 14 of her participants had to do follow-up interviews with her. So another takeaway that I found from this really interesting was just the women's stories. So Melinda, as we talked about in the beginning, I found her story very interesting. There were also several high school girls who ended up getting pregnant in high school. They knew that they didn't want to have children, then got pregnant in high school, and ended up carrying out that pregnancy. Along with some women were in abusive relationships where their partners pressured them into continuing their pregnancy. And I found all of those stories really interesting. So in conclusion, throughout this presentation, we have looked at the terms within the study, at the study methods Moore used, and at some main points and personal takeaways I took from the article. So I hope by listening to me today, you gained some insight from the study. Thank you.